Where should you spend time in your business? And what actually matters for a profitable, thriving, sustainable business? And all you could spend your time and energy on, what is going to make the biggest difference? And how in the world do you even decide? And then how do you actually do that work? Today we're going to discuss the foundations of a healthy business. Hello and welcome to Explore Your Enthusiasm episode 221 with me, Tara Swiger. Today we're going to talk about what really matters in your business. Now these are the foundations, but this isn't just for new businesses. In fact, if you've got your business together and you know what you sell and maybe you're making some sales or maybe you're making a bunch of sales, but you're wondering how can you scale it or how can you make it more profitable or how can you make more sales or how can you connect with better customers, the answer is almost always in one of these foundations. Or if you feel scattered, like you've got your business started and now you're not sure where to put your energy, the answer is always in these foundations. But before we go into foundations, I want to remind you that the Starship is open right now. So if you didn't get on the Starship list last week, you might not know that. So let me tell you, the Starship's open now. It was just overhauled, the Starship was, and it was specifically overhauled because I wanted to make it as effective as possible at helping you transform these specific foundational areas in your business. So when you join, you are walked through these foundations we're going to talk about today in a series of classes that serve as deep dives into your business. Over the course of 3 months, you'll be guided with weekly lessons in the foundations, plus tons of worksheets for you to fill out, for you to answer the questions for yourself. Like, how does this apply to my business? What is this foundation like in my business? What do I need to change? Plus lots of education on how to actually change that, improve it, work on it. Plus, while you're going through those 3-month classes, you're going to get access to our amazing Starship community, which you've heard me talk about for years. It's where you can ask your questions and get them answered 24/7 in our online group. You have access to our weekly check-in to hold you accountable and monthly group coaching calls with me, where I go deep into whatever your question is. I answer all the questions that have come in for the month in the monthly group coaching call, and I take as long as it takes to answer it thoroughly. So whether you can make it live or not, there's always a recording and I will always answer your question. So in the past, the Starship has just given you access to the classes and been like, okay, take what you want to take. But I have learned over the last 6 years of doing this that the biggest transformation happens when you work on the foundations in a specific order and when you make sure not to miss one. If you work in your marketing, but your profitability isn't lined up, you're not going to see the results you want to see. So I've also learned that it works best for you to actually keep doing it when you're provided with accountability and when you have the chance to actually answer questions in real time and get some feedback from me. Now, when you're done with a 3-month program, you can choose to stay inside the community, which is what almost everybody does, at a super affordable price. And as I mentioned, we go through the foundations, but the Starship isn't just for a business that's brand new. In fact, it's not for businesses that are brand new. It's for a business that's already set up. You need to know what you sell and how you're going to sell it if you're not already selling it. But maybe you don't have sales yet, but you definitely need to know what you sell, what your product is, and where you want to go with it. Above all, you need to be committed to doing the work to make it thrive. Because the Starship is going to ask you to really dig deep into what you're doing and make a plan for what's going to get you towards your goals. And you can only do that if you're really committed to making the business work. It absolutely doesn't have to be full-time. It can be something you just started 2 months ago if you have a level of commitment that you figured out your products and you figured out how you're going to sell it. And when I say how you're going to sell it, I mean the platform. It's not that you actually have to have sales yet, or you don't need to know who your customers are. But if you've been in business for 5 years and you're ready to scale up or become more profitable, or you just find yourself not doing what you want to do to grow your business, the Starship is for you. Now, let's talk about what those foundations actually are, where to spend your time in your business. Because there's so much you could focus on, but there are a few areas where if you put your focus on them, you can dramatically improve your results. There are things like the clarity of your own business dreams, as opposed to what other people have or what other people want or what other people seem like they're doing that's amazing. Clarity on what you really want. Also, honesty about where you actually are. Not where you wish you were, not that you feel bad about yourself and you think you're horrible and you're no place, but honesty about where you are. And then also breaking that gap down between where you are and where you want to go into goals, and then the goals into actions, and creating a plan of action and having accountability to stick with it. All of that dramatically improves your results. Also, profitability. You got to know that your products will make money. I cannot tell you how many people have increased their sales, but with a product that's not profitable, everything falls apart. And then you also have to know marketing, how to actually communicate with buyers who are interested. Someone's got to buy your work. Marketing is how you communicate with those people. So now that everything I said can be split up into 4 main areas. And this is what everything in my business has always been about, these 4 main areas: mission and mapping. Everything from big picture to this month's goals, what I'm doing this week, reviewing what I just did and if it is working, and adjusting. That's knowing your mission, and that's mapping. The second foundation is profitability. Does your thing make money? And at what point will your thing break even? And at what point will you make the kind of profit you want to make? The third foundation is marketing. And that includes all communication about your work to interested buyers. That includes Instagram, email lists, blogs, podcasts. That also includes conversations you have at the farmer's market where you sell your work, or deciding what shows to apply to, or talking to retail outlets that might carry your work wholesale. That's all marketing. And then the last foundation is effectiveness and self-care. Not just doing things quickly, but doing the right things, feeling good about your workday, and not burning out. So here's the good news. Just knowing that those are the areas that matter can help you defeat the overwhelm of, oh my gosh, what do I even focus on? You can just come back and visit this list, which area needs work, and then work on it. Now, if you're like, I have no idea how to work on it, how do I improve those areas? Where do we even start? That's what we cover in the Starship. So what's super cool about these areas is that they actually build on each other. You can't get a clear picture of your marketing if you don't know what your mission is. And you don't want to do marketing until you know your item's profitable. And you can't reach your numbers goals, which we talk about with profitability, unless you actually, share your work with the right people using the right language. That's marketing. So in other words, working on one area is working on all areas. It's like a fractal. Everything you do is reflected around your business. Working on self-care reflects what your mission is and helps you reach your mission better. It also helps you communicate more with your customers when you have healthy boundaries. It helps you ask for the right price in your profitability. So working on one area helps you work on all areas. And when you work on how you communicate with your people, you'll see the same words and feelings showing up in your mission. Or it's exponential. Working on one area improves that area and often improves sales, but it also improves the other areas, which improve sales. So for example, when I got really clear on my mission several years ago, I got clear on what I wanted to do in the lives and businesses of makers and artists, and how I wanted to empower women in their financial lives. And for the women I work with, that includes their creative business. My marketing became so much clearer from that point on. From the words I use, to the topics I talk about, to the images I use, to what I share on Instagram, to what I talk about on this podcast. I suddenly knew what to say because I know what the end goal is. I know what I want my work to do in a person's life. I know what I want my work to do in your life. If you are listening or watching now, I have a goal for what my work's going to do in your life. It's going to empower you. It's going to make you feel not alone. It's going to empower you to make good decisions in your profitability and self-care so you can create a sustainable source of time and financial freedom. Knowing that has improved everything about my business. It's improved how I feel about my business. It's improved my productivity, and it improved my sales. In the year that I identified that as my message, and I said a little different back then, but when I identified that goal as my mission, that year my sales doubled because I knew what I was doing and I knew where to spend my time and energy. So as you're hearing me talk about this, think about yourself. Which foundation of your business needs work right now? Where are you not clear? And as you think about that, you might be kind of frustrated about where you've been spending your time, where you feel like you've been wasting your time. You might be frustrated that you didn't focus on these main foundations and instead you got swept up in figuring out the perfect hashtag for your photo. That is okay. We all do it. We all get distracted and get fuzzy about the things that really matter and focus instead on the things that don't matter as much. We all read a blog post or listen to a podcast that is about a specific tactic without asking, is this what matters to my business right now? We dive into learning about it and trying it out and experimenting with it without actually looking to see if it fits into what our mission and strategy is. So a while ago, a few of my friends started talking about using Facebook advertising. And I had to admit that even though I know advertising on Facebook is not where I wanted to spend my energy right now, it was so tempting. It's so tempting to work on something that's outside of my strategy because it's just like fun to learn new things. On the other hand, a lot of you guys, a lot of makers tell me that you avoid thinking about any of this. You just make your thing, you put it in your shop, you hope it turns into a business. You don't have a mission, you don't have a strategy, you've not messed with profitability, you haven't faffed around with your marketing, you just like are gonna list your thing and put it in your shop. And you know what? If that's you, you're not alone. That is absolutely where to start. Everyone needs to start with making your thing and making it available for sale, whether that's online, whether that's in a shop, whether that's at shows. What I was saying earlier about the Starship for being people who have already started up, that's like the Starship is only going to work for you if you've already done at least that much. You figured out your product, you've made it available for sale. You haven't done anything wrong if you haven't started working on these foundations of your business yet. Because, and a lot of us buy into this, there is a tiny, tiny percentage of artists who make their work available and they sell out. They don't have to do any numbers, they don't have to do any marketing, and the numbers just magically work out because the numbers they picked out of thin air were perfect for their profitability and their business model. But I'm gonna be honest with you, in all my years of working with makers and artists and going to conferences and meeting business owners around the world, those people are unicorns. You may be a unicorn, but if you have big dreams for your business, I don't want you to waste your precious life waiting to see if you're a unicorn. And if you just list it, it'll all work out. Instead, I want you to do the work that makes your business successful so that you know it will be successful. Instead of waiting around to see if like Oprah discovers you, put in the work to get these foundations solid so when she does discover you, you can blow up, so that you don't have to rely on outside circumstances or being discovered or wait for someone else's approval before you build the business you want. You can start today building the business you want. And how you do that? You build each of these foundations one at a time. Now, I'm going to give you some ideas for things you need to work on in the foundations. Like I said, we go deeper. I mean, like super deep, like a couple weeks on each foundation inside the Starship. But here are just the outline kind of what you need to be thinking about. For the foundation of mission and mapping, you need to define your dream business. You need to get clear on your mission. You need to identify your assets and your support system. You need to choose a goal that you're going to work towards, that you're going to shape your strategy around. Then you're going to create a plan to reach that goal. And then profitability. You need to know your numbers and know how to get to the numbers that you want, and also like where to even find your numbers. You need to identify the profit margin for each of your items and your break-even point. And then you need to know what are the variables in your business that you can experiment with to change your numbers. It's not always about more sales, more sales. There's a lot of other variables you can experiment with. For the foundation of marketing, you need to improve how you talk about your work. You need to make it easier for strangers to find you. You need to look at how you build a relationship with potential customers. You need to identify how customers buy and make that process easier and take less time and fewer clicks. You need to work to keep customers happy and coming back again and again, because repeat business can be huge for ongoing sustainability. And in the foundation of effectiveness and sustainability, aka taking care of yourself, you're going to be more effective if you do what matters each day. If you've identified what will matter and then you do that. And then you keep track of your tasks. It's so huge, and so many of us struggle with that. You streamline your recurring tasks. We talked about this a little bit last week about streamlining via automation and systematization. And also getting the level of accountability you need in order to get it all done is huge. I've seen people make huge leaps in their business because they finally got the accountability that they had been, for some reason, denying themselves for years. So I want you to think about which of these foundations in your business needs your focus right now. Write it down. Write down where do I need to focus and what are some areas that Tara just mentioned I can focus on. And which of these matters most to you right now? I'm going to be honest, going in this order makes it better. If you first focus on doing what matters each day, but you haven't figured out your mission or your goal, kind of hard to determine what matters. If you get great at your marketing, but your thing doesn't have a profit margin, that's not going to make a sustainable business. So if you want to work through each of these and discover for your own business, everything I listed for each one, every single thing I said is a lesson inside the Starship. You can join us in the Starship. It's open now and it closes in a week. So hopefully you're listening to this when this comes out in mid-August 2018. In the new Starship, we cover each one of these foundations week by week. You're going to explore your answers to these questions. You're going to dig deep into what this is for your business so that you can take your business where you want to go. You're going to figure out what are your goals, who are your people, what is your ideal workday like. And instead of feeling overwhelmed about figuring it all out at once, you're going to work on one area at a time with a lot of support and accountability. You're going to do it over the course of 3 months. So instead of just like kind of always putting this off and always having it in the back of your head, at the end of 3 months, at the end of this year, in time for the holiday season, you're going to know the answers to this in your business and you're going to be clear about what foundations you need to keep working on. You're going to be clear about how to take what you've learned and continuously improve. And all along the way, you're going to have support, encouragement, accountability, and group coaching with me once a month. If that interests you, you can go to taraswiger.com/starshipbiz, learn more and sign up now. If you have any questions, go to the contact page of my website, send me a question, or tag me on Instagram. I'm at Tara Swiger. I'm here to answer your questions. Oh, by the way, if you want to see what other Starship captains are up to and who's aboard the Starship, on Instagram, check out the hashtag StarshipBiz. It's what we use to talk about the Starship or to talk about our progress in it or just to share what we're working on. So that's hashtag StarshipBiz. To check out other members, but come join before it closes. taraswiger.com/starshipbiz. It's what makes this podcast possible. So thanks so much for listening. I wish you an enthusiastic, sustainable, profitable day.